Alright guys, hi, hello, this is Rifkin, and I'm here to try and give you a walkthrough for the mission The Chrysalis from Heart of the Swarm. Now at the start of the mission here, you're going to be given 5 swarm hosts. You're kind of given this trivial task that will introduce you how to use these units correctly, and it's very important that you don't lose. Well, I guess it's not super important, let me rephrase that. It's a lot easier if you don't lose any of these immediately. I did not understand when I first came through this mission on Brutal that swarm hosts do not burrow like they do in the multiplayer for Heart of the Swarm. They just root. So they are visible to the enemy, and I lost 3 of my swarm hosts from, well, quite frankly, being stupid. So if you retain all 5 of them, it will make this a little bit easier. I mean, it saves you some minerals, but all in all, if you come out of this with nothing, it's perfectly fine. Now, I've chosen to try to do this mission as a walkthrough because I personally had a lot of trouble with it initially. Blizzard has, for the most part, been pretty good with their campaign stuff. Oh, this is a cool cinematic. I'm just going to pause talking for a moment.
The first spawning pool. It existed before names. From this primordial place, the Zerg arose. Within, one essence split into many. One devoured another and became stronger. The first Zerg.
Yeah, so I like how the history of the Zerg is they're kind of reverse mitosis. Well, I guess no, it's still kind of mitosis because like you split, then you devour, and it's aliens. It's not real. So, anyways, I was going to say, throughout most of this campaign and most of Wings of Liberty, Blizzard tells you, here's a new unit, and typically that means if you want to beat the level with ease, use that new unit. So I mean, when you got roaches, you would just make 100 roaches, and you know, you'd win that mission pretty easily. You wouldn't have to worry about mixing in zerglings and what have you. This mission, unfortunately, is not the case, and double so in Brutal. Now, everything I'm going to tell you here advice-wise still applies to every difficulty of the game. I've just chosen to do the walkthrough on Brutal because it is the most difficult. It will be the most challenging, and if you can do it on Brutal, you can do it on any other difficulty level. Now, going back to the Swarm Host here, if you make Swarm Host as your primary unit, you will get through the level, but you won't be able to grab all the achievements while you do it. They are cool units, mechanically very new for those who are new to StarCraft. They're really unique, but unfortunately they're not the best for this mission. Now the 2 achievements for this mission, well 3, one of them is just simply beating the level. It's not that impressive. There's Epic Mealtime, which requires you to kill 75 units with the Locust Swarm. You'll see that coming up in a moment if this is your first time seeing this level, so don't worry about that for now. But the other, and the more important one, is called Can't Touch the Chrysalis. And it basically says, don't let Kerrigan take any damage. So while she's in that cocoon, you don't want a single Zergling to slip by through the cracks. You don't want a single Mutalisk to swoop in real quick and do damage. But you'll see right here, I'm putting down a base rather quickly. Now the 2 key things to pretty much every single mission for this entire expansion has been get a base as quickly as possible because you need the extra income. You're also going to want to have about 2 hatcheries at every base, but I'll touch base on that in a moment. So just basically get drones for now. That's it. You don't need any single other unit. You'll notice for these first 2 waves, I will hold with just the swarm house you've been given at the start of the mission. So just get yourself some drones. The more drones you have, the more economy you'll have, and the more units you can build. So basically, long story short, it's going to make your life a lot easier if you've got a lot of economy to fall back on. Nothing's worse than realizing you're trying to build some units and you don't actually have the money or the resources to do so. But as you can see here, it's not too difficult. I really like using static defenses for this mission in particular. By static defenses, I'm referring to things like spore crawlers and spine crawlers. Although I guess because you're Zerg, they're not really static. You can't uproot them and move them, but for the most part, you will just put a spine crawler down and ignore it and just hope it does its job. Now you'll see I'm still just droning up at this point. I wish I could have a production tab like multiplayer to show you, but I have still not made any other units at this point, just making some drones. And the good thing about that little base there on the side, I'll explain more once the units actually spawn, but that's actually a really safe base. It's almost like a ninja base. As long as you don't build too much there, it will actually be ignored for the entirety of the game, so you can just happily mine from there without any threat whatsoever. Now you're going to see I'm going to start spreading some creep to the south here. This is really important. These rocks for about the first 10 minutes will not, you won't even have to worry about them, but they will start getting torn down later on, and you have to worry about that ramp. So by having some creep down here, it will allow you to move a little bit quicker to get there in time, but also put some, again, static defenses like spine crawlers down. Now, to make things a little easier on you guys, in case you're not following what I'm doing, I have selected all of the hatcheries. So I will have 4 down in just a moment. Didn't want to place it there for whatever reason, OCD. But I will have all the hatcheries selected on my hotkey number 5. I do this by hitting Control 5, and it binds everything that I had selected at the time of pressing that to the number 5. So whenever I hit 5, it will select all the hatcheries for me, and I won't have to like individually pick out larvae. I just select my hatcheries. I hit S for select larva. If you've got different hotkeys, it'll be different for you. And then I can just make units without having to constantly look at these bases. I can just trust them to mine and ignore them and focus on the defense part of this, because this is where it gets hairy. Now that I have 4 hatcheries up and I'm getting my gas, my economy is just about where I want it to be. I'm starting to get these guys are saturated, because you'll need the gas to start making units like Mutalisk and getting your tech upgrades available. But again, still, put down a couple spines if you're feeling a little uncomfortable. But the Swarm Host, a Queen, maybe some Zerglings if you really want to be paranoid. I mean, you will have no problem holding this off. Now this base here, you might think, oh no, I gotta get some defenses down real quick. Nope, as you'll see, as long as you don't have anything out here on the front, the units will not actually aggro to it, and your base will just kind of go ignored for the most of the game. Now later on, flyers will come, and they will kind of path over that base. You'll have to have some defense up for them, but I mean, really not a big deal. Now queens, by the way, are really useful. They are not exactly combat medics, but they do heal your buildings, they heal your units, so between these waves of attacks, they will help sustain your army, so you have to spend less replacing it. But again, if you lose any of these units, just build new ones, it's not a big deal. As you can see, I've still built very minimal actual army units. I'm just still economy, but soon you'll have an economy that is so good you will not even be able to spend your money, I promise you. So once you're at that stage of the game, it will not be a problem getting units out. Now I'm still just putting some spine crawlers down. I would suggest doing this just so that you don't get caught off guard. You know, maybe you're looking at the left side of the map and you get attacked from the right. Your swarm hosts maybe weren't burrowed. Oh, looks like I actually lost one. I didn't even catch that initially. So I will have to build more. Now my mix of defense here, I really like having 5 swarm hosts only on each side of these ramps. So I'll have 5 swarm hosts eventually guarding the left side, and 5, so 10 total, guarding the right side. This will be enough because the locusts, they're free units. They've got minimal damage, they don't shoot air, but they're free. And free is always good. Now here we go, this is the click spawn. This is for the epic mealtime achievement. You will not get this in one go. These units, this is like a cooldown. This is kind of your oh shit button. Like, oh, I'm getting overwhelmed. Spawn these locusts. They will kill everything coming your way. You will have to kill 75 units total with them if you would like to get the achievement for this, which will not be a problem to do. Now here you see me throwing down some spore crawlers and a spine or two. Again, I don't need these just yet, but it's better to have them now and not need them than need them later and not have them. Kind of philosophy to life, I think. Getting all deep. Now, pretty soon, actually, I'm not sure what the exact time on it is, the optional side mission will spawn. At this point, you'll see I'm actually banking up quite a bit of gas here on the top right, hitting 900. You're not really going to want to spend too much on gas because you're going to want to be able to build 20 Mutalisks for the side mission of this. Now, I'll explain that once it actually spawns, but for the time being, you can see I've just... spine crawlers, more spine crawlers. And I've got a queen hanging out with the spine crawlers just in case they take some damage to heal it up. And again, minimal forces. Zerglings, I've got the ability on the hatchery for this mission that allows me to replace Zerglings for free when they die. So it's really nice having Zerglings. They're pretty fluff units. Now if you don't know what I mean by a fluff unit, by the way, they're just there to be there so that the units don't go straight for my spines. Now here we go. Some Mutalisks have started spawning. I don't have a lot of spore crawlers inside my base yet because you don't need them just yet in the game, but you will eventually want to have about 3 or 4 down. And I'm gonna keep using the spawn locust button on cooldown here, not just because I want to try and get the achievement, but also to show you guys that you don't need it. It's a nice oh shit button, but you don't need it to beat this mission. You can beat it with it on cooldown and unavailable. Now, I'm spreading a lot of creep. You don't need to do this. This is just me trying to spend my APM because I feel like a pro. all cool guy mode. Get some more spines to replace the ones that have gone down. And again, once you just, this base will be saturated, it will be ignored, and you'll have so much income, guys. I promise you, this mission will be so easy. Now there we go. Here's the side mission, Tyrannosaur. Now my camera glitches out a little bit here trying to do this because the cinematic views, but this unit is quite difficult to deal with, as you have to cross through the army fighting in the middle of the map. So if you send ground units over, you'll have a bit of trouble. The first time I did this, I actually successfully did it with the roaches and zerglings. You can run through the army, and once you're on the other side, burrow and wait for the opponent, because there's no detection, to just kind of leave you alone. Then unburrow, move forward, and go attack this guy. But when you attack with air, this is why I was talking about the Mutalisk. When you attack with air, it's like a Thor. It has 5 attacks, so it does a bit of splash damage to the air. So if you don't have enough Mutalisks, it will heal up out of combat, and you'll have to go back again and again and again. Now, I do notice that you'll notice spore crawlers have been put down because more and more flyers will be coming with each wave. But there we go. With 2,000 gas banked, I create 20 Mutalisks. Plus 3 you start the game off with will be more than enough to kill this thing. Now, I'll walk you through how to do this in a moment. And again, I'm just putting down more static defense because you don't want to have to worry about moving your army left and right when you have to defend Kerrigan. Because you got to remember, the main goal of this, not just to beat the mission, but as well for that Chrysalis to take 0 damage for the achievement. This is, of course, brutal, and if you guys are playing on an easier difficulty, this will just, quite frankly, you won't even probably need the static defenses. But collect your Mutalisks up. You're going to try and run to the south and take on Mr. Tyrannosaur. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. There we go. Sorry, I was just like, what am I doing here? Now, you can fly right over the middle or you can fly over the side, because there won't be... If you fly over one of the sides, you only take minimal damage from Hydralisks, but if you fly over the middle, you risk taking a couple of hits, but really not a big deal, because they'll be fighting each other, so just fly right over top. And go right on top of this guy. Now, it's really important you spread out a little bit here. You don't have to do a lot of crazy micro, just move around a little bit so that you can see the splash damage going out on my Mutalisks. I don't want that hitting all of them. So while that's going on, I'm just banking up money. I've got a ton of money. Just keep putting drones out. You're going to notice I have way too many drones on all of my bases. There we go. Side mission is complete. Now, don't waste these Mutalisks. I do have the evolution that allows them to heal rapidly out of combat. You don't have to have this. The first time I did this mission, I did not have that. I had the Glaive Bounce Worm. Hits 6 targets or whatever it's called. So you can do it without it. But I'm going to have way too many drones because I want to have a lot of spines and a lot of spores down. So don't worry about having 30 out of 24 workers mining. It's perfectly fine. You're actually going to want to have that. Just so you can, I mean, look at it. My base is littered with spines and spore crawlers. Now, again, here I go with the Locust. Just trying to rack up the kills for that achievement. Get 75. I've probably already killed 75 enemies at this point. But like I said earlier, the big point of me using this on cooldown is to show you guys that you won't lose by spamming it or anything like that. You'll be perfectly fine. Now, my left side's getting a little bit weak. At this point, I probably should put down a few more spine crawlers. I haven't gotten around to doing that just yet, but... So what you're going to want to do with these Mutalisks, and this is actually rather important. You'll notice my Mutalisks down there on the number 1 key. That is because I bound them to my number 1 hotkey. Same way I did with the hatcheries. You have your Mutalisk selected, you press Control and the number 1, and then every time you select the number 1, it will select all of your Mutalisks for you. This makes it a lot easier to gather them. Whoa, there goes my English speaking skills. Will allow you to gather them easier and use them for rapid response to things like flyers or a unit getting past your defenses. Now, roaches, I've started throwing into this as well. They are more fluff units, if you will. Again, if you've already forgot what I mean by that, they're just units here to soak damage. These can be Hydralisks, these can be Banelings, they can be Zerglings. It doesn't really matter. You just have these units here so that your opponent doesn't walk right up top of the ramp. You don't want them just kind of freely walking into your base and catching you with your pants down. So roaches, hydras, it doesn't really matter. I went with the roaches because my roaches have the acetate saliva, whatever it's called. I don't recall. The one that makes it so that units attack 75% slower. So it's pretty nice to have. They also stop them from going up the ramp as quickly. But again, it really doesn't matter. You can have any sort of unit here just soaking damage. Because look at this. Up in the top right, you're pretty much maxed out on supply and you've got a great bank going. So whatever you lose, by having 4 hatcheries available to you, you're going to replace very quickly. Now things are going to calm down here for a moment. Oh, what is that thing? One Zergling I guess bugged out, didn't follow the pack over to my base. But time's ticking down. We're past the 10-minute mark. We're getting closer and closer towards the end. Eventually, pardon my phrasing on this, shit's gonna get crazy as you'll start getting attacked from every side at once. They will stop coming in waves and more like these giant pushes, but for now, you really don't have to worry about that. That's why you've got static defenses up. Now we go, the rocks are starting to be attacked, but thanks to the defense I have and the Mutalisks, just by selecting one and attacking those Hydralisks, very quickly I can respond. Now, I also have these Mutalisks, you'll notice, from time to time patrolling between these Spore Crawler locations. This is just so if I'm not paying attention and some Mutalisks come, they'll attack automatically. You can do this by hitting P and left clicking and it will set units to patrol. And they will just attack whenever the first thing they see is that's an enemy. Now this lower area, the rocks, they're eventually going to get torn down. You can't stop it. It's inevitable. But that's fine if they get torn down, because you should have a wall of spine crawlers up at the top of the ramp ready to greet whatever is going to come your way. Now I've had primarily spore crawlers at that second base, the hidden base at this point. You're going to want to eventually throw down some spines, as later on you'll have brutalisks, or sorry not brutalisks, the ultralisks from the beast zerg or primal zerg come attack you. Yeah, starting to get a little bit crazier, but nothing that you can't handle at this point. If you've got a couple swarm hosts, some spine crawlers, this really should not be an issue for you. Now I've used the Locust once more. Again, I'm just making the point of you'll have it when you need it. It's on a short cooldown. It's not a big deal. It's only under the 3-minute mark if you don't have the proper amount of defenses that you will absolutely need to save that as a cooldown. But I'm going to try and keep using it so that you can see that you don't have to have it available and ready. But it is a nice, like, oh god, what do I do button. Now, I mean, even if you have been slower than I am fully aware that maybe you can't keep up with the speed of the way I'm macroing around. I'm not doing anything too intense, but if you're a more casual player trying to knock this out, this is the walkthrough. You'll be fine as long as you've got these static defenses up. By the way, I can't stand this thing. I gotta get rid of it. Sorry, OCD. But as long as you've got your static defenses up, you've got your roaches, your zerglings, just the fluff units to soak damage, so your spine crawlers can do a ton of damage from far away. You'll be fine. Now these rocks are getting low. They probably won't be knocked down at this rate for a while, but I'm going to go ahead and take them out just to show you that you don't need to have these rocks here. They're a nice extra line of defense, but oh no, I wasn't paying attention, the rocks were taken down. You will be perfectly fine. Now, you can see here, I've got way too many minerals. I'm very confident in my defense at this point. If you want to start building more spine crawlers and more spore crawlers to be extra safe, I beg you, please do, because it's always safer than sorry when it comes to StarCraft. Now, one key thing here is I have been keeping up on upgrades this entire time. If you don't continue with your upgrades, you'll have a harder time with this, but it's not going to cost you the game. The most you can have is 2-2, while your opponent will have 3-2. So, I mean, in a head-on fight, your opponent's units in this will always be stronger than yours, and if you can close that gap a little bit through upgrades, you absolutely should. Now we're getting close to the 3-minute mark. 3 minutes, I'll tell you guys right now, that's when things get crazy. I'm starting to throw down some spine crawlers at my second base location. This base will be forfeit eventually. You don't care about this base. It's just been nice. It's been mining you minerals. It's extra income. And eventually it'll go away, but the point is, if you've got a big bank like I do at this point in the game, you don't need that base anymore. So don't fret, don't send units to defend it. If it goes down, it goes down. Not a big deal. Because remember, your primary goal for this is to keep that chrysalis alive, and if you're going for the achievement, to make sure it takes no damage. So don't worry about that, but here we go. So this is where you're going to start getting hit from all sides. There's not going to be waves of this. There'll just be a constant attack with a small break in between, but for the most part, constant attacks. With the spine crawlers, with queens, mutalisks patrolling, replace your fluff units. If your roaches die, make new ones. If you don't, you'll probably be okay. But at this point, you know, you'll want to save your spawn locust button for like the last minute. Oh gosh, that's close. I did not see that that Viper sneak by, almost hitting the chrysalis. So keep an eye out for that, guys. Don't let that happen to you. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so I popped the locust because, I mean, this is a great way to rack up 75 kills if you haven't at this point. But again, it's just to reiterate that you don't need to have this available for the last minute of the game. If you've used it earlier, you can still get through this. It's not too difficult. But I mean, overall, this was a pretty fun map for me. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of reminiscent of Sunken Defense games from ye olde days of Brood War. I really enjoyed a lot of the custom maps, and I guess basically adapted the aspect of instead of Sunken Defense, Spine Crawler Defense. Now I got Mulas kind of just patrolling all over the place in the middle because that Viper scared me, the fact that I didn't see it coming. So by having units patrol like crazy, again, you hit P and left click to patrol your units. This will help me if I'm not paying attention. And of course, you got Guardians, you got Mutalisks, Vipers coming in. Make sure you're using your Mutalisks to take out theirs. You don't want to be caught with your pants down. That is just the worst. But coming up on the end here, guys. Vipers getting taken out. Pull my queen! So rude! Why would you do that? Scumbag computer. But you notice my natural base is under attack. That's perfectly fine. I don't care if it goes down. You've got so much money at this point. You're constantly going to be remaxing. Kerrigan's about to wake up. Hi, good morning. And that's it, guys. So hope the walkthrough was helpful. If you had any trouble with this mission after watching this video, leave a comment. I will get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, thank you for watching.